Welcome to Safe and Secure, where we discuss the problems and solutions that make up the systems integration world. Each week, we'll feature industry leaders and experts to discuss the obstacles and challenges in our industry with your host, Kevin Rand. So, let's dive in.
Pierre, thank you so much for spending some time today with us on Safe and Secure. You are a wealth of knowledge in the field. I've seen a bunch of your work out there with the Security Industry Association. So again, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
No, I'm happy to be here. Happy to be here.
So Pierre, can you talk to us a little bit about, just kind of what you're passionate about, some of the things that you're seeing in the field that to really help all of our end users?
So, I started out obviously, in a different world, maybe 30 years ago in the security industry where things were analog and, we dealt with a lot of different problems than we do today, sometimes the same. But the fact is that going from the intelligence industry and crossing over a variety of different industries, government as well as commercial, I saw, the need to really understand how technology can be defined and help people and processes for any type of environment, from the educational industry to the commercial industry or manufacturing industry to energy, et cetera. And so, over the period of time, being in physical security first, or intelligence, physical security, then cybersecurity, or IT security, then cybersecurity, I found that the disconnect was so clear that as we created IT, maybe, really 35 years ago, what we left behind is physical security and all the components of how this gets integrated. And even moreover, how this really connects with people, right, and processes. And what I find is what I focused on is really a converged approach to assessing. And with that in mind, we created the ESI Convergent to really hone in on that problem. And in fact, just find solutions and technology that could really help virtually any industry to really become better. And I think that's what I've been really advocating over a period of, many, many years in the security industry, speaking at many events.
Yeah, and I think you've hit on something that I found early in my career. Like you said, going from analog systems to now IT-based systems. The internet of things, I say no, is the internet of everything. My thing is, I truly believe that the historic facilities director, that 90% of their job is going to fall under the IT department. Between camera systems going from analog to digital, we've got intercom systems going digital, we've got lock sets that are going digital. It goes on and on. The HVAC controls are all digital.
That's right.
So how do you and your company really help the end users, like, put all those pieces together? I mean, we're big in community and stakeholders, and how do we identify who all needs to be sitting at that table to make the systems we buy work how we were visioning them to work?
So that's a great question. And I think that there's a variety of answers to that question. But I'm going to focus on one of the major issues that we all have to face. We have to understand the expectation, right? First, we have to understand what the need is for the area of say, the business or the school environment, right? What are the things they use that they need to ensure that they do their job appropriately? And it's not just, the siloed mentality of here's security, here's HR, here's, the resource officers, infrastructure, here's administration, here's the faculty. It's really looking at how do they play together, first of all, and how they communicate, but how they use technology appropriately. And are there similarities in terms of the use of the technology? Now, the key to success for ESI is to evaluate not only the processes that are existing first, define that, understand that, ask the right questions, see how those systems are being used, and are there correlated governance or communication across those silos. Again, silos are the biggest challenge for any environment, including the K through 12 and the university systems. Because what we find is, each individual owner of that silo typically has a fiefdom. They've created a process, and this is legacy, right? But technology in general is now built to correlate across silos. So it's counterintuitive to the policies of old, to the technology of today and the future. So we have to be able to bring these people together in a room. I mean, many times I bring everybody to the room, and they're very uncomfortable because I ask the questions across the board. It's not, I don't try to segment these areas of business or these areas of the school, because they don't realize that they use the same systems and they should be able to understand how to work together in that process. This is all leading to where we have built fusion centers in communication. We learned a lesson at 9/11 when we didn't communicate across. Of course, this is a big problem where we didn't communicate across agencies. It's the same thing that happens if you do a tabletop, or you do a scenario-based, a threat-based scenario, and you find each other looking at each other going, well, wait a minute, I thought you were supposed to do this. Well, I thought you were supposed to do this. And that tabletop turns into a mess because, frankly, even though they may have some document that somebody wrote, some great consultant wrote, nobody's following it. And so what we find right away is anytime someone's trying to implement technology, they come to us and say, look, before we start making really bad decisions and we're not in the right position to use the right technology, because a lot of technology can be a Band-Aid, and used improperly, it does nothing to help you in the long run. It only does what it's supposed to do for one area of the school, one area of the business. That's not what we need to see. People, process, and technology appropriately laid out invariably adds communication and adds processes and governance that can be managed and that can be really, at the end of the day, successfully dealt with in an emergency situation. So we're not running around doing this, right? And I'm pointing in different directions and blaming everybody for the failures that they typically will see. So, yeah, so that's what ESI does. And I'll tell you, we call it Be Smart. We do a Be Smart assessment. So it really is what it says. It's be smart. Be smart about what you do. Define all of these categories. And we really dive deep and allows, we don't charge any more than anyone else does in the consulting environment, but we use tools that we know are applicable, from government agencies all the way to, small companies.
Yeah. And, the knowledge base that you guys have, is going to be tremendous. But even outside of the knowledge base of the technology and those, just your ability to bring together all those silos together and make them one farm, so to speak, right? To say, hey, that right there is invaluable, because there is a lot of pain points in different organizations, especially large organizations, about having all these separate entities that are in charge of a piece, but nobody's really stepping back at that 5,000 foot level and looking at the holistic thing to say, hey, wait a minute. And I'm sure you've got example after example of a facilities director going with some camera system. Next thing you know, IT is bogged down. They don't have separate VLANs or whatever. And IT's like, what are you doing here? Kind of a thing, and trying to play catch up instead of coming together at the forefront with someone like you and saying, hey, how do we do this smartly? So let me ask you this. So, A3 Communications is a division of Cook and Boardman, and kind of in that team aspect, Cook and Boardman really saw the vision to say, hey, we need to start bringing together Division 8, Commercial Doors and Hardware, Division 28, Electronic Safety and Security. How do you guys see that relationship working out or going together in the future?
Well, and it's interesting because for many years we've talked about the Division 8, Division 28, barriers, the obstacles that have been created and really by not by anybody's fault, because that's how it was in effect created. We just started seeing, of course, the birth of advanced technology that really interplayed with operational systems, which were the systems that, at a door, right? Or at an HVAC infrastructure. I mean, all of a sudden now we start saying, okay, design can no longer just exclude security. And the biggest problem in anyone's world, right, is legacy architecture, legacy engineering. And what I mean by legacy engineering, and it's really, unfortunately, a mentality of stating, look, I'm only going to pull stuff off of a shelf. It's something I've been using for 25 years, and it works. However, that doesn't work any longer in the new format. And when we talk about IT, cybersecurity, right, technology in general, right, we have to start realizing that it's all adaptive to Division 28 and Division 8 are adaptive now. They're no longer segmented to that level. So many, have created some, new advanced rules in regards to how we look at this, some of which have been applied and some of which have not. Again, but it's not cohesive yet. And I think that that's where we have to get to, where everybody agrees on a platform of what is secure, what is acceptable to IT, how do we implement that into the design configuration, the MDFs, IDFs, all to one basic program, rather than saying, well, and I think that that's what's been happening. I mean, Ray Coulomb, I think at security specifiers have tried to throw some things. You guys in general, right, have been a leader in this world. So I think that that's kind of where we have to go. The frustration for me is simply when it's not in the design and we come after the fact, the security comes after the fact, we can't help ensuring that the process of entry is appropriate. The process of layered security is appropriate. And now with technology and safety, here's the thing, right? Where does that go? It doesn't fit into the architecture yet, and it's again a band-aid or an afterthought. Unfortunately, the systems that are available today are not afterthoughts. They have to be choral. They have to be connected. When I say IT, OT, physical security convergence, I mean information technology, operational technology, which is HVAC systems, all your air controls, all your sensors, and physical security items like cameras, access control, all of that. That converged approach allows an IT director to say, okay, I have the picture. I know what I've got to deal with. And it sure makes it easier to plan, future-proof your buildings, future-proof those environments. And I think that's the struggle right now. And I think that we had the pandemic, which kind of put us behind a little bit, because right before that I think things were starting to move in that direction. I think manufacturers have been helpful, frankly. I think there are manufacturers on the physical security side who are become more helpful in regards to designing for that environment. Putting OSTP into the panel, which is, in effect, encryption and security at the panel. I think that communication systems are more open, like Meraki and Cisco are more open to realizing there's a converged system of implementation. But where the biggest problem is? It's people.
Absolutely. Well, Pierre, how do we contact you? How do we get in touch with ESI Convergent and learn more about what you're doing?
So yeah, I mean, we have a website, esiconvergent.com. It's Butchko ESI as well. That's because we merged with a partner of mine. So we have offices in Denver, in Houston, and in Cleveland, Ohio. Soon to be other states. We'll announce those. So you can reach me at Pierre@esiconvergent.com is probably the fastest way to get an answer. I do answer my emails. If you guys, I'm on LinkedIn as well. I always answer the question. I know it's tough. I don't sleep a lot. I deal with a lot. But I think it's important, right, for me and for our community to take this as something that, we all want the best for not only our kids, but also our the people around us, right, our community.
Yeah. Pierre, thank you so much for your time today. And more importantly, thank you for your service to the industry. Greatly appreciated.
You're very welcome. And thank you so much for having me on.
Thanks for joining us for this week's episode of Safe and Secure. For show notes, visit a3communications.com. Thank you again for watching, and don't forget to stay safe and secure. We'll see you next time.